I'm Shelley Carabel in La Balle, France, and I'm talking with David Fisher, who is the founder and CEO of Dynamic Architecture. You say that you've added a fourth dimension, time, to the 3D elements of architecture. You've created a building that moves. How did you get this idea?
Well, I guess it all started when I was 5 years old, and my mother used to take me to see the sunset every evening. So I was having my dinner, sitting in front of the Mediterranean. And I believe it really happened then, watching the huge red sun dropping slowly, slowly, slowly into the water. This is when I started to think about time. One day gone, another day is coming. The movement, life. I think it did start over there. But then, as an architect, I designed things that could change over time. Not just the shape, but mainly the functionality. Because everything is changing. Everything is changeable in our life. Homes have very little to do with our real life. I mean, nothing happened to them. Everything changed. So I designed squares and buildings that could adjust themselves somehow to nature. But then, one late afternoon in New York, watching the view from one of the apartments on the Olympic Towers, 51st and 5th, and I looked at the view, and my friend, the owner for the apartment, looked at me and she said, "Did you notice, David, you can see from here the East River and the Hudson River, both sides of Manhattan. Nobody has such a view. I am the only one to have such a view." And then maybe my social belief came out, and I said, why don't we rotate the entire floor so everybody can see the East River and the Hudson River? But you can see also St. Patrick, which is just behind the building, that if you stretch your neck, you can see just a corner of St. Patrick. I still did not understand what would happen to the building until I went back to Florence and put it on the computer and understood that if I rotate each floor separately in a different speed, a different direction, the building is going to change in shape continuously. And I was amazed to see it really on my laptop, to see that the building is really alive, like dancing, changing continuously.
I remember the restaurants that used to go around, they would rotate. And that always used to make me a little bit seasick almost. How have you improved this or changed it so that I can't imagine living in something that rotates all the time?
Well, the restaurants really have only the deck. The exterior deck is rotating around. Not the facade, not the curtain wall, not the ceiling, not the floor, not the plumbing. And it's only for a short time. So they really use all technology. This building is going to be for apartments of very wealthy people, top luxury hotel, and so on. So we had to make sure that it rotates in such a way that you will not feel it. First of all, because this building has just one central core, one column. In a normal building, you have dozens of columns of beams, of joints. Here you have just one single column. It's like going back to nature, like a trunk of a tree. Much more simple, less expensive, faster to build, and everything around it can rotate, any shape. So the building can be done in a factory, and in fact, this is the second revolution that I believe I am bringing. Building produced almost completely in a workshop, and it's about time.
It's kind of prefabricated in a way.
Well, it's industrialized. Yeah, today prefabrication is used in the wrong way, because in construction, people mean concrete beams. So we call it pre-assembled, but it's like building a car, a train, an aircraft, anything else. So from now on, buildings are going to be done in a factory, which means cutting the cost and the time, better quality, less casualties on the construction site, a very minimal impact from an environmental point of view to the rest of the city when you build a tower. So only advantages, and this is the future, I have no doubt.
Have you sold a building yet? Have you built them? Where can I find one?
Well, we are just about to launch the first tower in the UAE, and then you'll be able to buy. So I'm going to sell luxury apartments from $3 million to $30 million each. They're going to have 6 or 7 or as many stars hotel. Okay. And so we are going to start selling.
So the United Arab Emirates is your first customer.
Well, more than a customer, it's a location. More than a
Okay.
customer, because we are the developers.
You're the developers. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you worried about doing this in this kind of economy? Are you starting now?
No, I like challenges, and in a way it's a bigger challenge when everything is so difficult. It seems to be, most of all, it's going to be easier to sell such a building than any other building because it's so unique, and there are enough wealthy people.
You've also said you want to put these things in London or Paris or whatever. Maybe I could see it in London. I mean, how would this work with an older city? You have less land? You have older buildings?
Well, in the older city, I come from an old city, from Florence, and you cannot copy anymore. This is what we were doing till now, starting from the Greek art. We were copying, so we have to do something new. And building that changed its shape, I think, managed to find its space much easier than any other normal building because it's shapeless. So as the architect, 3 centuries from now, will be able to reshape it the way he wants. Because you can change the direction of the rotation, you can change the speed, you can change the acceleration, and the most important, the timing, which means the relationship between one floor and another, when each floor starts to rotate and how fast, and so on. So the building will be able to be shaped in any given moment according to the idea, the feeling, the emotions of this single moment. So I think it's going to be much easier to insert it into an existing old city.
We talk a lot about the need for buildings to conserve energy. Is this building going to be energy flat?
Energy plus.
Energy plus, so it's going to create energy.
Absolutely. In fact, the energy we use for rotation is very minimal. It's close to nothing because there is hardly any friction while it's rotating. In the same time, we are going to use whatever exists today in order to minimize the consumption of energy. But furthermore, this is the first building to be completely self-powered because between the floors, we put horizontal wind turbines. So if I have 80-story building, I have 79 wind turbines.
Wind turbines?
Yes.
Wow. So where are you going to buy those? I mean, this is involving all kinds of sectors of the economy that you wouldn't think about.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, most of the engineering companies working with me and the suppliers don't come from construction field. They come from any other sector but construction. You take Bosch, they have nothing to do with buildings. One of the engineering companies designed till yesterday Ferrari and Maserati or aircraft. So nothing to do with construction. So we use new materials, new technology that will contribute the building to be really the building of the future.
Who is your ideal customer?
In the future, the guy that does not have a home today. I will tell you what I mean. That today cannot afford a home. Because the present customers are going to be the most wealthy people, the people that can afford $30 million apartment, okay, and would like to get up with a car because you get up to your apartment with a car, you don't drive it, it goes up. You open the door, you're in the apartment. You have swimming pools in most of the apartments, so top luxury. So they're going to be among the most wealthiest people in the world. But tomorrow, I would like to hope that my customer will be the guy that does not have a home, because the prefabrication of buildings, and the first one, yes, is going to be top luxury, but in the future, all buildings will be done in a similar way in a factory.
And you think the cost of construction will come down as you refine what you're doing?
The cost of construction is already very similar to normal building. In the UAE, if we speak about London, our buildings going to cost us less to build than any other luxury tower in London. You cannot compare the cost in a workshop to a cost on a site. I remember in 1985, in the beginning of my activity in New York, the hourly cost to do cladding on a skyscraper in New York City was $65 an hour.
When will you start building?
In very few months.
So how long did it take you to get it to this point?
Well, about 4 years.
Wow.
The idea came just over 4 years ago. And I started to talk to some of the top engineers. and in the big industries, and they all got very excited and joined me. So we are ready to start now.
Okay, so I'm living in this building and it's been rotating and I'm fine and I like all the different views and it gets stuck. What do I do?
First of all, why should it get stuck?
I don't know. I mean, things break.
Listen, the distance, a floor makes every day 6 kilometers. Okay, so you do about 1,800 or 2,000 kilometers a year. You don't do any maintenance to your car every 2,000 kilometers. Correct? So the possibility something will happen is very remote. And if it happens, it just stops. So all of a sudden you say, wow, I see the same view. It's not changing. You can do maintenance in real time. I've never seen anybody taking a hammer, breaking his car or his laptop in order to fix it. Correct? It does not exist. The same in the buildings of the future. Anything happens, first of all, you have sensors. You know that it may happen. Okay? Like in an aircraft, like in a car. You know you have to do maintenance, maybe 4 times. And when you do have to change anything, you just unscrew a piece, you can replace it, and you go ahead. You don't have to break like today. So the rotation will cause some maintenance, but close to zero.
Who controls the shape of the building? I mean, is this aesthetically, I mean, does everybody control his own rotation and it just turns out to work some way, or does somebody have an overall idea about how the building should look from the outside?
Well, if you have a whole floor, if you are lucky enough to be able to afford the whole floor, then you rotate. It's voice activated. You just speak. You say right, left, faster, slower, and the floor rotates. If there are more than one apartment on a floor, and most of the building, of course, will be of several apartments or hotel rooms, the architect or the developer or the city or the mayor will have the password to change the shape continuously.
After the UAE tower is built, where do you think you'll have your next tower?
Hopefully London. We are looking for a site in New York, Miami, Rio de Janeiro, Montevideo, Milano, quite some places. So hopefully going to be the buildings of the future.
What do you think Michelangelo and Da Vinci might have thought of these buildings?
I was thinking to myself, Leonardo did everything. Everything. He invented from the gearbox to the helicopter, from the submarine to milling machines, everything. But he didn't think about one thing, about a rotating building.
Thank you, David Fisher, for being with us.
Thank you, Shelley. Thanks.